Important here is to remember that nobody posts their sad days on social media, so don't get fooled into thinking that everyone has their shit together all the time, because that's just an illusion. To improve your life. Now let's get to the point. All right, welcome back to another episode of ToDaPointPodcast. And if you're new, welcome. Today's video is about 4 books you must read if you're serious about your self-improvement journey. So reading books has lots of benefits, and I'll share some of them with you throughout the video. But the most important part though is to take action. You can read all the books in the world, but if you decide not to do anything with that information, nothing changes. So make a commitment and use the knowledge to your advantage if you're serious about self-improvement. Before we get into today's topic though, I need you to hit the like and the subscribe button to support the channel. So alright, let's get into the first book you must read if you're on your self-improvement journey. And that is this book, Rest, Refocus, Recharge by Greg Wells. An amazing book. The essence of the book is about optimizing your life. Something that is a must when it comes to self-improvement. So if you want to improve your life, it's important to have a balance between working, resting to recharge, refocusing, and continue working. So in this book, the author talks about the importance of prioritizing your focus, but also taking enough time to work on your physical and mental well-being through exercise, healthy nutrition, meditation, and nourishing relationships. And don't forget about disconnecting from the world from time to time to give your mind and body enough time to recover and to recharge. One chapter that really spoke to me is the part about disconnecting from the world, because we live in a society where everything goes by so fast, and on a daily basis we are bombarded through social media with everyone's lives and successes. And this can actually take a huge toll on your mental well-being and make you feel like a failure. Important here is to remember that nobody posts their sad days on social media, so don't get fooled into thinking that everyone has their shit together all the time, because that's just an illusion. What you need to do is stop comparing yourself to other people, but instead of that, compare yourself to who you were yesterday and keep improving so you become a better version of yourself. So constantly comparing yourself to other people increases the chances of you finding reasons to feel shitty about your life. So do yourself a favor and give yourself a break by putting away your phone and give yourself the chance to focus on what really matters. By the way, the writer uses different scientific studies to validate what he's talking about. And speaking of science, studies have found that reading can reduce stress. I'm sure you can imagine there's nothing better than sitting in silence with a good book and even a cup of tea, or you can even put on some relaxing music in the background. Studies have found that reading can also strengthen your mind because it involves a complex network of signals and circuits in the brain. Those networks get stronger and more sophisticated the more you read. Sounds like a win-win to me, right? I hope you guys are not hearing the sounds I'm hearing in the background. It's crazy that every time I think I'm going to record a video today, people start making all crazy sounds outside. Anyway, the next book is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It's about how small adjustments, choices, and actions on a consistent basis having a huge impact on your life. And this can mean a positive or also a negative impact. So the writer talks about both to make you aware of the importance of making the right decisions to help you move towards your goals. So this is an example I use often. Let's say you decide you want to get in better shape and you're going to start working out 6 times a week, walking 10,000 steps a day, cutting out all the junk food. At first, this sounds like a great idea and something that a really motivated person would do. But let's look at it from a different perspective. The thing is, having this all or nothing mentality at this point is probably not something that is going to be sustainable in the long run. Why? Let's say you've never ever entered a gym in your lifetime, right? You've never worked out before, you were never active, and you're only used to eating junk food. How long do you think you're going to be able to sustain that lifestyle? So the best thing to do here is to, let's say, just getting more active and walk, let's say 3 times a week. Not even looking at the 10,000 steps, but just be more active, walk. Once this becomes part of your routine, let's say 4 to 5, 6 weeks later, you can start adding more things. Let's say this time you do count your 10,000 steps and you might add another day to it. So as the weeks go by, this becomes part of your routine, right? Then you can say, you know what, instead of going to 6 times to the gym, I'm going twice a week on top of the walking 3 to 4 times a week. And that's how you build up the habit. And at first it seems like nothing is happening because those are small changes. But over the course of weeks and months, you start seeing that it becomes a part of your routine and you start seeing changes in your physical appearance, right? That is way more sustainable than going all in right away if you've never done such a thing before. On the other hand, because you're making small changes, some people might get demotivated because it seems like they're not seeing anything happening, right? But you just have to trust the process. So that is the compound effect. Basically, meaning you're just stacking wins, and then you'll see changes over a period of time. All right, book number 3, and that is this one right here. This is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. Either way, great book. I have to say that it's one of the most challenging books I've read so far. Maybe because of my ego, because like the writer says that the ego wants to keep existing and it does everything it can to keep us from waking up from the truth. So anyway, but if you're into spirituality, this is a great book to read. It might take you a couple of times to read though, before you can comprehend everything. The overall message in this book is that our suffering comes due to the identification with the ego, right? And we should be aware of the present instead of worrying about the future or thinking about the past. Because every minute spent in the future or the past is a minute wasted. So our challenge is to be here in the present, in the now. Which, like I said, it is a challenge because we usually used to worry about the future or the past. He continues by saying that to understand this idea, we can use meditation, right? So you meditate to kind of silence the mind. And usually what happens, especially in the beginning, you try to silence the mind, but your thoughts keep appearing, right? Because the mind is doing its own thing. Thus, we are an observer of the mind. Meaning, if you notice the thoughts coming up, you cannot be the mind, you're an observer. And that's what meditation helps with. It also makes you aware of the fact that you are not your thoughts. I hope you guys are still following. Another interesting topic in the book is about the pain body. Basically, this is the type of energy that feeds off your emotional pain. And it consists of pain that has not yet been fully released or accepted. And you may experience it by experiencing negative emotions such as anxiety, depression, anger, etc. So I am totally fascinated with Eckhart's teachings. I think because I'm not fully capable of understanding what he's talking about yet. So I see this as a challenge to understand it all. Anyway, a great book. I think if I have to give it a difficulty level from 0 to 10, in my opinion, I would give it a 7.5. But again, sometimes you just have to read a book more than once to fully understand everything, and that's okay. Alright, book number 4, last but not least, and that is Do the Work. Let me see if I can find it. That's this one right here by Stephen Pressfield. One of my personal favorites because it's very helpful. It's about overcoming resistance. And it's great for people who are just starting out, like making content or doing something else that's creative or new out of their comfort zone. He talks about the fact that whenever you try something new, you bump into resistance, right? And you can kind of make it your friend by not falling into the trap of the things that resistance make you do, such as procrastination, doing lots of research, thinking you should get all the equipments, the newest equipments to make the perfect video or the perfect project. Those are all excuses because you're scared. At the same time, when you experience resistance, that means that the thing you're about to do or that you're doing means so much to you. So that's why you're kind of putting it off, because it has a lot of meaning to you, right? I know that I find it encouraging knowing that someone who is a writer, who has already put his projects and work out there, experiences the same thing, right? And that's another thing that reading helps with. It helps you to empathize with other people. It increases your empathy because it helps you to see things through someone else's eyes, from their point of view, right? Another thing the writer talks about is about the importance of not reflecting at the same time your work, because you cannot be objective. So let's say you just finished writing a chapter of your book, right? Don't go through that chapter right away. Take some days off, take some distance, process everything, and then go back and see if you can rewrite some parts if necessary. And last but not least, he talks about the fear of judgment. And the thing is, when you put yourself out there, you're being exposed to other people's opinions and even exposed to failure, right? And that can be a scary thing. For example, right now, this is a small channel, and sometimes I find it challenging putting content out there because this is all new to me. But at the same time, I realize that is part of putting yourself out there. You have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to make progress. Or another thing is that I put in effort and I just get 5 views, which I'm very grateful for, by the way, let that be clear. But I do realize that's also part of the journey, and that is okay. Sometimes things don't go the way you want to right away, but that comes with not being on the sidelines. Again, you just have to trust the process. So whenever you experience resistance, go through the book. This will help you to get a little bit more motivated and On top of that, reading also improves your vocabulary. So if you find a word you're not familiar with, look it up, also look how to pronounce it, and then add it to your vocabulary. Anyway, y'all, that was the video for today. I have to say that these short recaps do not do the books justice, so grab yourself a copy if you're serious about self-improving. And I hope you found value in this video. If so, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section and share your favorite books with me. Alright, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.